that shake weight.
You like that?
I did like that.
The new thing, so man. I'm working in on every exercise.
Yeah. Strict Curl Avengers secret.
Now it's tough for everybody.
We are. Yeah, we're on, man.
Are we live?
Yeah.
We're good?
Yep.
Love it. All right, boys, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a great show for you tonight. What we wanted to put together was we wanted to have 6 men on, all who we've interviewed, 6 men that have all curled 200 pounds or more in the strict curl. We had one gentleman who could not commit tonight. So all we did is replace him with another super heavyweight that curls, 200 plus pounds. Letting everybody know, I just received a message from Wyatt. He has COVID, so he will not be with us tonight. To give you the format of tonight, and this is something that's a little different. It's tough to do something like this because you're bringing 6, 7 personalities together, and at times you want to hear them all talk. So the format of this is we put together 18 questions. We'll be down to 15 now without Wyatt. And we wanted to ask 3 questions on a hot seat kind of concept to each of these men who've all curled 200 pounds or more, right? When we started this thing, all of us, let's say 6, 7 years ago, I think Max was the only person that had ever taken 200. No one has ever done it. And now we're doing a live podcast show tonight with 6 to 7 guys that have all done it. It shows where the game has gone. It shows where the game's going to. And we're going to really get into that and break that down. And what a privilege for us as Strict Curl Nation and as a coach to have all these guys together at one time. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've had a lot of success with our podcast because Instagram's run a little bit different. So please bear with us and be patient for tonight. This is something we really wanted to do. We don't know if this will be the format rolling forward, but this is something we really wanted to do because we wanted to have the Avengers on. And hopefully if things work out for us, we'll also have a few special guests on later on that also want to put a shout out and a challenge to the Avengers. So we got some good things lined up. And in concept, what we're trying to do is have fun with this, okay? I think some guys are are overthinking it. And I don't know if they're running for the woods or what they're doing, but this whole thing was designed to have fun. And it was also designed to be able to study and do a little data with the strict curl and learn from each other. So let's get into it. Housekeeping stuff. Let's first go into, because this will be for everybody. This will be really good. Let's first go into the rules of the challenge because we have our rules and everything else, but we haven't really gone through the rules of the challenge. And I wish I could take credit for all this. I can't. The Avengers have come up with 90% of this. And let me tell you something, it's absolutely brilliant. It is such a cool concept. So here's how the rep challenge will work with teams moving forward, starting at Mr. America and then carrying out throughout the rest of the season and out the rest of the career in time that as long as the Strict Curl Nation is up and running. 3-man tag team, 3-minute continuous clock. The clock does not stop between lifters. So just like a NASCAR pit crew, when you change out, we are not stopping the clock. So now not only do you have to have technique when you're lifting, you have to have a technique when you're tagging off to somebody, okay? A lifter can do any number of reps, but it must be at least 1. If that lifter cannot do 1 and runs out of gas, they cannot switch. And we'll talk about a little bit more about that later and really break that down. The most combined reps in 3 minutes wins. The lifter must stay in the original order since lifters may go multiple times. So if somebody's in the zone, they can't just jump the next guy, say, hey, I'm fresh, let me keep going. You have to stay in order. Each lifter must do 1 rep per turn. Reps counted by a single side judge. That'll be me, okay? We're still going to look for, are the arms opening up? Are we getting full range of motion? And is the back and butt staying on? legal contact with the legs being straight and all that sort of stuff. We're all going to remain true to that. So if you think about it, the clock hits, bang, they get 3 minutes. You got 3 guys. You can now strategize. You can now come up with a concept. Maybe you're a team that feels, hey, we're each going to bang out 10 reps, and no matter what, we're going to rotate. That's on you guys. I'm not going to give too many examples to that, but I want to break out for the audience and for everybody moving forward how team events are going to be run. And this is the format of which we're going to do it. We feel that the team stuff is really going to start to pick up. We feel that the team stuff is really going to start to grow and add a fun element to the contest. So we're really going to put some time into that. At the end of the show, we will go back into the rules, just so everybody knows, and we'll go through it again. And Coop, Knox, and Max, if there's anything that I'm kind of leaving out, please, when we get to it again, we'll jump into that. The challenges, the rep challenges are going to start at Mr. America. They're going to continue at the Arnold. I think this is something that is really fun, and people put a lot into it. So the Avengers team is built, but we're going to clean up and get 2 other teams because Mr. Ruskin wants in a bad way. And he wants to jump on this call at 8:45 and do a little bit of shit talking, I think. And I like it. CT Fletcher. There's been this ongoing debate about this OBZ bar, and myself and Strict Curl Joe, we want to put an end to it in a good way. We are thinking about installing a CT Fletcher class at the Arnold only because CT himself wants to see who can take the OBZ bar and actually put up 226 pounds and break his record. He will only honor that if it's done on an OBZ. So we can talk about that. There's a few individuals that he wants to call out to see if they can do it. We'll support that. And if he wants to show up for that, we'll be more than happy to have him. Ruskin wants to make Mr. America a 3-way challenge. We'll talk about that. What we have to figure out from the October Mr. America meet is that last super heavyweight that goes, we'll build him a little bit of rest time in there. So it's fair. If the Avengers flight is a little bit earlier, then we'll give that last super heavyweight a little bit of time. Okay. My next announcement is put in motion. I don't want to be one of these guys that's promising a bunch of presents on Christmas and doesn't come through. Anybody that knows me, I don't think you've ever had that experience with me. If anything, I over deliver. Somebody said the name Curl Mania for our festival idea. And that led to Strict Curl Joe putting his resources in motion and reaching out to Hulk Hogan. And it would make the absolute most sense in the world to have him present the awards in June or July at the Curl Mania 2023. We wanted to deliver that message on Bruce Knox's birthday because we're sure that he's a fan and we're sure he'll be first in line.
More of a macho man.
We saw that right when you said that. I said we got to put this announcement out. Last couple things with housekeeping. I did have an unbelievable conversation with Coach Bossy last week. We're going to talk about the Big 5 meets together. We've started that dialogue. And if there's room for us to collaborate and support each other on those. And we also have some prizing announcements that we're going to be releasing next week. Last housekeeping thing. I had 2 or 3 lifters ask me to bring this up. And I'm just going to throw it out there and we'll talk about it at a later date. There's been some traction in the HRT going into its own class. So what people who don't know what that means, hormone replacement therapy, is getting a little bit out of control. And so there's been a push and a request for some athletes to keep those individuals in an untested category. So we're going to put a survey out and do a little data. Just so people know, the Strict Curl Nation, we do not have an HRT program. That falls into untested. That's exactly what it falls into. Somebody asked if I could just state my opinion on it. I don't shy away from it. I'll state my opinion, but then I want to get to the more important stuff. I just find it hard for an athlete who's on hormone replacement therapy and a level of 800-900 to go against a drug-free lifter whose testosterone level's sitting at 300 or 400. It just doesn't make sense to me. The research that I came up with and where this has always puzzled me was you can get a doctor in the state of Florida to approve you at an HRT level of, let's say, 1,000. You can get one in Connecticut that'll only do it for 700. You may find another one in Virginia, North Carolina, that's in the 800-900 range. So really, it's getting to a point of who you know allows your level to be where it's at. And a federation may have a rule or a level on it, but it just doesn't make sense to me. So that's something I think, because of the amount of dialogue and questions that have been asked to me personally over the last 2 weeks about that, that's something that I think is going to call for its own segment, and you're going to see some hard rules coming out in the future, not only in our federation, but all federations. Without further ado, I want to start with the birthday boy, Bruce Knox.
Oh boy.
Yep. I'm going to go one question apiece. I'm going to hit Knox up first, and then I'm going to go into Max, and then Joe's going to kick it, and we're just going to go round and round and round. What's cool about this is these questions are not prepped. These are off the cook. They're all classy questions. But I think they're things that people have picked up on in the podcast, and they just want a little bit more, dialogue on them. So first of all, to Bruce, happy birthday.
Thank you.
And absolutely, man. And I noticed you hit $160 for 10, and I did that real quick. That's like a 213 1 rep max on paper. I may be off by a pound. You add the adrenaline of the meet and your style of curling, and right now you're probably sitting at 215, and that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that's a firm opinion, but that's my opinion. You're on track to probably hit a 225 mark on a third attempt. Again, my opinion. Here's my question for you. Are you still burned out? Are you still like, we had a little dialogue, Bruce, about you on purpose wanted those last couple meets to do exactly what they did. And I didn't want to press the issue with you anymore. I wanted to give you some space. So my first question for you is that run that you had, is that still affecting you? Is this talk of retirement real? Is it, were you just going through a little bit? Like, talk to us, brother. You got the mic, you got the floor.
No, man. I was burned out for a while, and then I'm having fun in the gym again, lifting with my friends, having fun. I don't want to deadlift, to tell you that. Okay. Don't want to deadlift. Don't want to really squat too heavy. Bench has been feeling okay, and curls are feeling great. Okay. But just the thought of like getting under a 600-pound squat now, and the past couple months, I don't want to do that. But curls, I'm ready to curl.
So you kind of just rotated and got the curlage going and start jamming out with that. And you know what? Let it see where it takes you with the squat and the deadlift. Will you be doing those movements light still, or are you getting close to getting rid of some straight bar shit?
I tell myself that I need to keep other lifts light, but I've told myself that before, and it doesn't work that way. So we'll see how it works this time. I'll tell you this, I like deadlifts. That's out. Heavy deadlifts, I do not feel like deadlifting. Okay. But, and side note, that 160 for 10 I did, that was after a curl workout. So that was fatigue too.
Wow. you know, the way you curl too, you know, I've never been able to pronounce it too well because it's a tough one. The brachial radius or something, you know, that muscle that sits right there, you know, it's fucking enormous on you because you get that power. You know, I was watching that 160 today. I was showing Coach Nikki. I'm like, look at the size of this fucking thing. Like the amount of work that gets is absolutely insane. And usually you get that on wide curlers, you know. And
Right, yeah, it used to be wide.
Yeah, and you're getting a little concept of that with you. So you'd be good with saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to put squat and deadlift on hold a little bit, which is an amazing move for your business too, because you got to stay healthy. You got to stay healthy as a human being to make other people healthy and that sort of thing. So you kind of got rejuvenated with this curl, which has always been an awesome lift. You're one of the rare ones that's good at all four, but no, you're not retiring. So I can get that out to the public because you're making people nervous.
I was retired for a couple months and now I'm back.
Okay, I love it. You're Gronk. You're the Gronk. You're the Gronk of the curl league.
Well, it's Willie. My buddy Willie dragged me out. I told you that.
You did.
If he qualified for Mr. America, I told him I'd go with him. And he did.
Yo, you know what I like about that, dude? That son of a bitch sent us his pinky ring size.
So did I.
All right, hey, thank you. I appreciate it. We're gonna get back to you. I'm gonna try to go a little faster so we get everyone engaged all the time. I'm gonna kick over to the Godfather, the first one ever on here to hit 200 pounds. I remember when it happened. It was absolutely insane. A lot of people don't understand how light Max was when he did that. It may say 242 in the record books, but I think we talked about this. He was 217. You know what I mean? He was a turd away from 220. You know, Max, here's my question. You know, it's been a crazy year. In some way, these Avengers have kind of like got you back into this. I remember me and you talking and you're like, you know what, I got kids, I got businesses, I am just jamming. I love it. I just don't have time for it right now. Now that you got this new facility up and running, your gym, I think, has doubled or tripled in size. You got that platform up and running. Are you starting to get back into the, you know, is your groove coming back? Are you back into a full-blown training program now, Max?
Yeah, so certainly with the excitement around the sport, that's helped. And then, you know, having this Mr. America and having some challenges to throw around, that helps. I was able to get some help in my clinic, which has allowed me to train a little more seriously for the same thing you guys were talking about. You know, you got to stay healthy. So it's at risk. And I still always try to train all three and do some CrossFit too. So it's tough to do all that and not hurt yourself and then smoke yourself for your day-to-day job. And then you still got to be, you know, husband and dad too. So there just wasn't enough minutes in the day for me to stay consistent with it, which is what makes what Cooper does so freaking heroic, because he's got like small army of kids and his coach and owns a business and husband and all that stuff. So, but I couldn't pull that off. But things are opening up a little bit more for me. Seeing other people hitting numbers that before I was the only one hitting is also motivating, just to see if I can still hang with those people anyways. So from a competitor standpoint, it gets exciting. Even when Antonio came out to my meet and hit 200 in front of me, it was like, well, before him, I was the only person in my gym that had ever hit that. Yeah. So, you know, that type of stuff is really cool. And then Coop being gracious enough to do me the solid of writing the programming for me too, so that all I have to do is roll in there and be the athlete and then bitch and moan and cry to him that my hands are tearing every single time I do any of his days of training, which happens every time. I'm dealing with like a torn. You can see the one in the middle there. My thumb, you can see that's just a shit show. I've got these soft chiropractor hands and they just don't hold up to Cooper level volume. So, yeah.
I know that gopher bar's like the Great White. It's like Jaws coming into town the first time. People don't know what they're in for, man. It's a bloodbath. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It is.
You know, and then I'll see people wear gloves and I'll throw them out of my gym. And I'll just explain to them how tight you got to grip this bar, how insane you got to gorilla grip this thing. you can't have gloves on. You're going to get a false feeling when it's game time. You know what I mean? So, and it must have been hard for you. I'm going to come back to this, but you know, you had nobody to set the tone for you. And I'm not downplaying anybody at the time, because the numbers that Coop and Knox were hitting were still far superior than anything. But when you really break down, and we're going to come back to this, what you did and the trailblazer that you were with that 200 and being self-motivated to do it is absolutely insane. Joe, while we got the Avengers, let's get a question for Coop here, and we'll keep this thing rolling and get in a little rhythm.
Yeah, absolutely. So Coop, would you say that this is one of your greatest challenges, kind of facing the big three that we have here, that you've ever faced? Do you see more challenges coming in the future that your team will issue?
Yeah, I mean, this probably is not the smartest challenge we've ever made. Basically, it's the biggest, strongest curlers on the planet, drug-free curlers. And the way all this came about is we've been together since 2016, 17, and we've always been a team, us three. But we've always been parts of other teams. We've been Team USA, we've been Team JCC. So it was important to us after all these years to say, hey, let's just be a three-man team and come up with some fun stuff. And the most obvious is the Wilkes challenge, because that's how they do team events anyway. If it's a team of 10, you take the 10 Wilkes and the 10 Wilkes and you add them together. So that one was obvious. Let's see if we as a three-man team could win the Wilkes challenge. The rep challenge is really just us having fun and really a way to roll out a potential new event for strict curl. And this sets the bar for it. I think if it's not us against the three strongest guys on the planet, then it's no fun. So this sets the bar, because this event can go forward and it's something they can keep records for. And I think to make it work, you can't have 10 weight classes. It's two weight classes, heavy and light is what we were thinking. Heavy would be 198 and above, any three against any three. Light, 181 and below, any three against any three. So it doesn't get watered down. And from a crowd perspective, much more fun than just guys going to failure. 6 guys in a row with no clock going to failure. I'd be bored watching that, and I love strict curl. This keeps it exciting. It's like the tag team aspect of WWE and whatnot. But as far as our biggest team challenge, I think so. I mean, when we went out to LA, they only had 5 weight classes, and we wanted to win 3 of them, and we did, along with best overall. That was a pretty big challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every world meet, we want to have the top 3 Wilkes and at least be in the top 5 heaviest lifts. That's always a big challenge. So this is not new to us to have these big impossible challenges ahead of us. But yeah, this one's kind of unrealistic, really, but we're going to do our best.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. Again, tonight is to kind of like lay out the rules, the groundwork, create some excitement for it, but really to get a chance to interview 6 guys that all can lift 200 or more, which is insane. The thing that I'm like so jacked up about is the transition, right? You tag out to Knox and his platform setup, when he's not 1 rep maxing it is fast and insane in NASCAR. I just want people to be safe. But what I'm getting at, Coop, is that now plays a role in this whole thing. You could lose 2 to 3 reps just by tagging out and a guy not having platform presence. So it brings back the athleticism, right, that I started to talk about when we really started to break down strict curl and what type of athletes are these guys. So I'm really jacked and excited about that. And I think the other thing is in some ways, and we got to figure out, at the end of it all, there is a group that wants to challenge you in Wilkes way. There is a group that wants to challenge in Repo Roa. What I love about it is that there is part of this where you guys should get your tails kicked. You guys should really get your tails kicked. And That's going to come down to, does that other team put the work in, the organization in? Because there's some guys out there that can yoke some weight. You know, we're talking about a rep challenge where every guy in it does 200 or more, right? So now it comes down to stamina, conditioning, and can you train for both of them within your program? So I think it opens up exactly what you're saying. Fun, right? We're trying to have some fun with this, and we're going all the way down to Jersey and Ohio to curl. We might as well leave it all there, right? I mean, we're going down there for all that. We might as well we'll make a show of it. So great question, great answers. I love it, Joe. Let's keep this thing rolling. If you got one for Big Show Joe or Antonio, and then I'm going to go right back to Bruce.
You're muted, buddy. Little medium show Joe, you're muted.
I was just testing you. So Joe, how does it feel being called out in an open challenge like this by the Avengers, the Curling Avengers? Your name has been featured with the likes of Wyatt and Antonio. All 6 of you guys have curled over 200 pounds. This may be the first time where this many 200-pound curlers are competing. How do you feel, being involved in this challenge?
Well, first off, I'm honored to, go up against some of the best in the game. It's just amazing to see the level of athleticism and, and strength that these guys have. I'm going to give it my best and do as best as I can, but it's going to be, a challenge. We're not going to just go in there, we're going to go in there and try to kick their butts, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than they think, because they're incredible athletes, and and I'm excited to be part of it, and it's fun, and I hope more people get interested in the sport and make it a lot larger than it is currently.
It's funny. I made a note here about how any one of those guys could win it. And Cooper, it's so funny what I had written down, like literally one lift away, right? Like I have written down here COVID, because Wyatt got COVID before he went to CT Fletcher, right? You get yourself an allergy, a sinus infection, COVID 2 weeks before this. That could be the difference. You tweak your wrist, right? Like, and my point is, in the super heavyweight division, legitimately, I can say this, anybody could win. Any one of those dudes could win. Any one of those dudes could win. That's what's crazy about it. And you have to also be lucky. We talked about this in sport a little bit. You got to be lucky. You got to be able to stay healthy, and you got to be able to, keep it clean all the way to the end. And part of that is a little bit of luck. And part of it is one guy loses focus and gets wrapped up in this and that and what's going on in the venue. And next thing you know, an underdog's taking this thing, which is going to make this thing really, really cool. Before you go to Antonio, I'm going to kick back over to Bruce. Bruce, you're kind of building an army down there in Maryland. You got some really great curlers, men and women, which is rare to be so balanced like that. Could we see a team KPC? And I'm not saying you breaking away from the Avengers, but you as a coach, your business is growing, you're growing, curlers are coming to you. I mean, can we see Coach Knox in the future with a curl team?
I mean, I was actually thinking about this. I have a lot of really good female curlers. Like, I think we have like 5.
Yes.
That are really, really good. As far as men, not a ton of them. And it seems like there aren't a lot of curlers in Maryland, male curlers. Okay. But I would love to coach an all-female strict curl team. I think that'd be awesome. And my meet, that was one of the things I was most excited about, was the amount of women that signed up for the meet. And I think I think the female presence in strict curl is growing and growing. And I think having an all-female team, and showing other women that they can do it would be very impactful.
You know what? I'll tell you what. I very easily, because we're a heavy women-based curl team as well. I would love to do a Connecticut, Maryland concept. You know, let's talk about that during the week. Let's put something together, because the growth of the women in the sport is absolutely outrageous. And I know what comes out of KPC. I love it. I love the attitude, the excitement. I think we get those girls and the girls from Connecticut together going at it, you know, and I'll tell you what, Max has got some serious lifters in Ohio too. We could create something from a women's standpoint, which would be really cool. So I'm looking forward to that. I want to also go into your conditioning, Bruce, because you're pretty lean for a big dude, man. Like
Thank you.
You know what I mean? Like you're a pretty lean dude. So I had a chance to talk with Strict Curl Joe. We were having fun with it over the weekend about like the rep challenge and how do I really think it's going to go down. And I mean, this is just the coach in me. Like, I think you guys are just so conditioned, and Max gets in this absolutely insane rhythm. And I think you guys are like, from a standpoint of being able to yoke, you know, Reds around, I think you guys are in the driver's seat. I really do. I think there's a conditioning element to this that overcomes the amount of weight that these guys have on you. And we'll talk about that more later. You know, if we're talking 1 rep max or something like that, who knows? But, you know, the other thing too that people got to understand is the Avengers 1 rep max absolute strength number is growing through the roof. Bruce, whether you hit it or not, right now on paper, you're a 215 curler, right? I mean, and you know this sport, it's got to happen. It's got to translate over. But Max has been out of the game a little bit. Max starts to get back in the game. That dude can take damn near 220, 225. I know he can. And at probably one of the lightest body weights ever done it. And Coop is just, you know, he had the summer trilogy. It's insane. So I think your conditioning plays a huge part of it. I think too, you guys are very, very educated. I'm not saying Antonio and Big Show Joe are not educated, but you guys also come from a doctor background, a successful strength coach background, who opened up his business in the hardest time that you can do it. So if you can survive that, brother, you can survive anything. And then Cooper, who just all he does is think about strict curl. I'll tell you, I think by the time we get to this, people are going to be really excited to see this event. I think by the time we actually get there, people are going to be really excited to see this thing go down. So let's keep it going. Let me go into Max here. You know, Avengers versus Wilkes. Here's my question to you, Doc. Is Wilkes really fair if you were to have 3 guys that can over curl their body weight, can curl more than their body weight, but potentially lose to 3 guys that don't?
I mean, like, well, if you weigh as much as my wife, who's pretty lean, I don't really think that's all that remarkable. So, I mean, everybody knows, like, it's cool to see, you know, a smaller guy curl big weight. It's really cool. And I respect that I got big, but like, nobody shows up to the dance to watch that, really. Like, it's awesome if a 120-pound guy can curl 125 pounds. That's spectacular, and it's extraordinary in its own right. But it's also just not something that I think, from a spectator perspective, is going to ever draw the kind of attention that someone curling 200 pounds does, regardless of if they're built like Big Joe here or me or Coop or anything like that. It just, the big number is what draws people in, right? Like Johnny Candido is this extraordinary power lifter, and he's small, but he's extraordinary, and everyone pays attention to him because the dude actually lifts what monstrous dudes lift at a small body weight. It's not like, oh, well, he weighs 185 pounds and he deadlifts 600. It's like, no. He's like 185 pounds and deadlifts like 700. That's what makes him remarkable. So there's still this aspect of pulling in the bigger weight. I think that body weight percentage just skews it the other way. And I think that heaviest weights use it to the other end of it. So I think the most balanced you can possibly provide is the weights, because bodyweight, you're just handing out a trophy to the smallest person in the event, typically, or the smallest strong person, I should say, in the event. And heaviest lift, a lot of times, especially if you're not talking about curling, you're just handing it to the biggest guy in the event, right? I mean, if we look at the Arnold, for better or worse, that's kind of how it went, right? Like, you gave one out for biggest lift, the biggest human being at the event got the belt. Okay. You gave one out for body weight percentage lift, and the smallest guy in the event, who was still extraordinary, but the smallest guy in the room took home 2 belts because he was the best lightweight, and he got that belt too because we did body weight percentage instead of doing it based on that Wilkes. And that's why I say, like, the Wilkes brings it into at least a closer median than anything else can. So if you say, okay, body weight, well, you just, take all the big guys and just throw them the hell out. And if you say weightlifting, you take all the small guys and just throw them the hell out. So Wilkes at least tries to bring it together. Could there maybe one day be a calculation that makes it more balanced and fair again? Maybe there will be one day, but I think Wilkes still does a really good job of that, while still making it interesting for a lighter lifter and still making it competitive for a heavy lifter too. So, I mean, what do you think?
I think for what we have right now, Wilkes is the levelest playing field. You know what I mean? And it just takes so long for some other formula to gain ground that I don't know if we'll see it. You know what I mean? So I always like to go into what's been out there the longest. And here's what's cool about this. We're going to have fun with this in different ways. There's going to be times where we can do this by Wilkes. There's going to be times we're going to do it by rep challenges. There'll be times where, somebody will come up with another idea. And that's why this is really cool. Like what we're doing, we're just trying to grow the sport, have some fun. And really, I want to see like who can take down the Avengers. When we break it all down, let's see what takes them down. Right. It's not corny to say, I love everything about it. I love the name. I love the concept. And you guys, you 3 have been like, literally, 3 of the godfathers of this event. And it's good to see you guys still doing it. It's good to see now your kids doing it. So I think as long as we can always have dialogue and evolve and get better and be ahead of every other federation, then we're doing things the right way. I think ultimately the goal is to keep you guys safe and to keep improving and to have a level playing field so we can do some different things. We can have a 180-pound man competing against a 220-pound man, so.
Well, and one thing to add to that too is if you, let's say you make up your own, Coach Russo's special curl formula, like you do that, but there is a risk there too. And that risk is that it then cheapens it to outside opinion. I mean, we already have to deal with, right? Like I posted a video, I don't know, like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and I just got like nuked on Instagram, which was glorious, from the trolls, because like the way I curl is not just this like preacher curl style, like throw me in the arm blaster type thing. And I remember like 4 years ago, I got pissed off. Someone was being a smart ass. And I put myself in the arm blaster, stood straight up and curled like 185, 190 pounds just to prove I could do it. But it was totally stupid for me to do because I could have torn a bicep. I could have ended my career entirely in strict curl. But I did it just to prove a point. I'm past that. But we already run into that a little bit because the name strict curl to outside opinion creates this implication that I think people still can't understand. It just has its own rules, right? It's like sumo deadlift, conventional deadlift, wide stance, low bar squat, high bar squat, all that stuff. And they just aren't grabbing hold of it. And of course, the internet's littered by trolls anyways. But if we then throw our own calculation in and go, well, Wilkes is, okay, that's for all the other meets. We have our own mysterious calculation that's supposed to make it more fair. You could inadvertently cheapen it further, which I think is kind of risky as well. So I think it's just safer to grab hold of something that people know and say like, hey, well, this Wilkes, if you've ever been a part of a meet, like, you know what Wilkes is, this is what we're using too. So I think that's a really good thing.
Great answer. Great answer. Joe, let's kick over to Antonio. Let's get him involved a little bit here. You got something for him?
Yeah, man. So, Antonio, could this be potentially your crowning achievement in the sport, taking down the Curling Avengers, pioneers in the sport?
I mean, maybe. I mean, we got to see how it works out and who gets what. I know, I think we have a good chance, but they do as well.
Yeah,
Humble
absolutely.
man. Very humble.
Exactly.
These heavyweights are way too nice. Don't give me
Yeah.
some pricks. Grill
Oh,
riot.
I'm telling you, as it gets closer, it'll get a lot dirtier as it gets closer, man.
I have all kinds of shit talking in here, and I'm not doing any of it. These guys are way too nice.
Antonio, do you see things getting more contentious as the challenges, continue going? Maybe money being put up by sponsors giving out prize money, perhaps things like that.
Yeah, I see big things on the horizon for the strict curl.
For sure, and we're trying to be as innovative as possible, and with this, and with the Curling Avengers coming up with this awesome idea, is just helping to take the sport to new heights.
Hey, Cooper, would you want to see for your first challenge? Would you want to see it be 3 super heavyweights, or do you want to see it 3 Wilks, best 3 Wilks?
Well, I think we're looking at both.
Yeah.
I mean, what
Cooper
we're looking
wants to
at,
go all.
listen, we talked about Wilkes because that's how you do team challenges.
Yes.
That's how we've always done team challenges. That gives us chance to be a 3-man team.
Okay.
The thing with the rep challenge, we think and we hope is a way to grow the sport, because I think it's going to be fun as heck. And I hope these guys know that we challenge them because we think they're the biggest challenge.
Okay. I like it.
They're the biggest, they're the strongest. It makes it motivating for us. I think it's going to be absolutely brutal. There's never been anything like this in strict curl before. 3 minutes is a long time. It's a long time. So this is going to, and that's why, guys, that's why we made it a tag team. So you heavyweights know the thinking behind this. We're thinking about everybody's health and safety too. Just going flat out failure, you're going to pull a bicep, you're going to tear your hands all to pieces. So thinking of lifter health and crowd enjoyment, we went WWE style, tag team, running clock. Let's have some fun.
You know what's awesome about it too is again, I got to go back to the handoff, the tag part of it, because you guys don't live together. You guys aren't from the same town. You're not from the same state. You're not going to have nobody. It's a level playing field because nobody is going to have that rhythm where they're in the basement, all 3 of them on the platform, working on handoffs and rotations and NASCAR style pit crew. So it's really a level playing field in that sense. And it's definitely going to be a crowd pleaser, an energy pleaser. I told the owner, the founder of Mr. America, all about it. He's coming over to see it. He's like, I'm coming to see that, so that's going to create some more excitement and whatnot. And he even threw out there, he says, what do you got, man, for an award for that, coach? I said, well, I'm working on that. I want to come up with something really crazy because you only get one chance to announce your first team that won it, right? Like forever in the books, it'll be, 2022 team so-and-so, right? And then that standard set to follow. And he said to me, man, he said, listen, you find something really, really cool, you let me know, I'll sponsor it. I'll buy the damn thing. So like we even got them excited about it. And again, awesome. I don't want to get too far ahead, but he's trying to work on a separate stage for that for me. He's trying to, and what we're trying to figure out is how much time between your last curl, not letting you cool down, us moving this, and then you guys going again. You know what I mean? So we're always thinking about risk versus reward. That's my job in this, to keep you guys healthy. And if for 1 minute, if I thought it wasn't the right thing to do, I'd pull the plug on it. You know what I mean? But again, we're talking about fun. We're talking about concept. We're talking about fun. You know what I mean? This 7-8 YouTube thing, this is different for us. This is unique. It doesn't give the same feel as the podcast, but I like it. I want to stay on for 9 more minutes. I want to keep this to an hour. Otherwise, it'll get really watered down and it'll be just us 7 talking.
Coach.
So I'm gonna kick back over to some housekeeping stuff, Joe, if that's cool with you. And
Coach,
then
did you
if
just see
Ruskin,
who just joined?
yes, if Ruskin wants to jump in and throw a challenge out as well, let's get his ass on here.
He is. He's on.
Dude, I'm
Is
on
he? Where is
right
he?
here.
The savage.
Right
The
here. dude.
savage, man. Ruskin, who do you
came in
want a
through the back.
piece of? Let's start with this. I know you want a piece of everybody, but who do you want a piece of at Mr. America?
I mean, I think it's just time. I mean, someone's got to take these Curling Avengers down, man. They've been walking around with their chests puffed out, acting like they own the place. Someone's got to take them down a peg. So I'm assembling a team. We're Team Dark Horse. We're going to take them out. That's it.
Was Team Small Guy taken?
It was,
Back
unfortunately.
alley fight or by Wilkes or what?
Wilkes challenge. None of that rep stuff, man. That rep stuff's a gimmick. You guys with your little rubber band style, bouncing the weight up and down. Of course, you're going to win a rep challenge. We're talking Wilkes formula.
Hey,
They
Coop,
might win.
he was prepared. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
prepared tonight. This dude come on prepared and rehearsed and polished. He's ready. I love it. So Ruskin wants a piece of everybody. The Avengers are ready to go. We're going to slowly get this thing cranked up. We got to probably get it back to a podcast feel, but I love it. So now we got a 3-way, right? We got this super heavyweight team. We got the Dark Horse. We got the Avengers. All right. We got the big 3. We got the Dark Horse and the Avengers. So now what we'll do is we'll figure out how we put all this together. And maybe what we do is based on current Wilkes, one team gets a bye. Maybe one team gets a bye right to the final round. And maybe that's the Dark Horse and they get to take on the Avengers fresh. Imagine that.
Hey, who said that the Avengers are going to even win the first round?
Ooh.
Boy, there you go, Joe.
There we go.
Oh, somebody
Who's
woke
the-
up
who's
the
the-
giant.
Who's the rest of Ruskin's team? You gonna let us know? Or?
Not yet, man. In good time, all right? You have to sit tight. We'll let you know who's on the team as we get a little closer to the event. But, I don't want a situation where they say they're fatigued and that's why they lost. I don't want them going through one round. They say, oh, we did the rep challenge. That's why we got beat. I want these guys fresh. I don't want there to be any excuses when they're taken down. That's it.
So we'll take the Wilkes from the contest, right?
That's
is
right.
A separate contest.
That's right.
What happens when one of the Avengers, I'm asking for a friend, if he were to like bomb out and then just really throttle the rep challenge? I'm asking for another guy over here.
If what happens?
Maybe he misses all 3 of his lifts, saves all of his energy for that rep challenge.
Just show up at the end.
Hey, strategy, man. Ruskin, they got everything up their sleeve, but the Dark Horse will be ready. Joe, what we'll do is we'll take a captain from each team and we'll showcase them 3 on the podcast and we can rotate that, you know what I mean? But that'll allow us to stay on that Instagram forum and work through some stuff here, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. Good stuff, man. Well, we got something brewing. It's going to take a little time. It's going to take some more podcasts, but we got this thing brewing. We got a lot of great ideas. We got the groundwork of the rules out, which is important. What we will do is we will put those in official form and we will get those on the website to everybody. All right. We will have the teams sealed up. I'm going to say 30 days out, you cannot change your team. So by September 9th, we will have Mr. Ruskin announce his 3 members and they'll sign their contract together. The Avengers, we know who they are. And the big 3, the super heavyweights, got to clean up a little bit because, who's to say that Ruskin may not snag one of them? who's to say? You never know, man. This is going to turn into a win at all costs type thing.
Hey, who's to say he didn't already snag one of them? We'll just say that the team has been set, okay? I went through this very mathematically. I went through everyone's weight, what they could potentially lift. I made sure I found the 2 guys that are enough to beat the Avengers. So, I mean, it's trust me, a lot of thought went into this. So I'll be happy to unveil who those people are soon.
I love it. Coop, man, you wanted it. We got it, brother. We got it, man. We got the right guy here, man. Stir it up. I love it, man. One hell of an athlete, too. One hell of an athlete. In concept, guys, ladies and gentlemen, what we want to leave you with is what we have on the screen, including Mr. Ruskin, are some of the best in the world. Are some of the best in the world. And I always said this, well, not always, but I've been saying it recently. If Ruskin can stay at 181 and hit that 200, he may join that rankings of the GOAT because no one's ever done that. That would be, I think Coop's 191 was the lightest curl ever to hit 200. I think Ruskin can do it at a 186, 187. Can he make weight and do it? And that'll be the big challenge, you know. I'm excited to have you guys on. The growth of this sport. 6 years ago, we had one, the Godfather, Max Zart, was the only human being that could hit 200 or more drug-free. Today, we're up to 6 or 7 of them. Absolutely insane. The Strict Curl Nation has exploded with numbers. We have over 5 over body weight curlers in the federation. We have over 6 to 7 200+ pound curlers in the federation. Men of great class, of great character, also very, very, very competitive and fierce men. We're glad to have you guys on tonight. The Avengers, the Dark Horse, the Big Three. Stay tuned. We got more to come as we build this. It's going to get more and more exciting. There's going to be more and more positive talk going on, if you will. And we're excited to have it. And we're excited to get back to our old format of that podcast. Guys, you have a great night. I appreciate your time. Thanks for taking an hour away from your family and your kids to be with us. Ruskin, I appreciate you coming on. You made the night quite enjoyable towards the end there. Thank you, brother. And Coop, man, watch the Dark Horse. The Dark Horse wants a piece of the Avengers. Someone's got to bring them down. Who will it be, man? Stay tuned, and we will be talking to you guys next week for sure, without a doubt, man. You guys all have a great night, all right?
You too.
Good night, guys.